much appreciated. And I don't mind making the speech without a teleprompter, because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you nevertheless, and that way you speak more from the heart. I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
Yes, President Trump yesterday at the so-called United Nations, the ironically named United Nations, run by criminals, racists, anti-Semites, third world, billionaires. I think they're billionaires. It's all our money, but pay no attention to that. And did you see, I hadn't seen it until I got home last night, but the escalator moment, the escalator incident, obviously saboteurs. And last night I was trading texts with a friend of mine at Newsmax suggesting that there might be a cruise missile strike overnight on the United Nations headquarters after that incident. And then you saw in the Times of London, they published an article on Sunday, and they spoke to people of the United Nations a couple days before President Trump got there. And the people of the United Nations said that they were talking about sabotaging President Trump with the brains of children and shutting off the escalators and the elevators when he got there. And then the president got there, and he was indeed sabotaged by the third world miscreants who should be catapulted into the Atlantic Ocean and expelled from the United States along with the rest of the so-called United Nations. Maybe a nice chateau in Switzerland or something like that for their meetings, and let the Europeans grow sick of them and then kick them out of Europe and send them back to the third world beepoles that they turned into beepoles. And now they want global governance because they're so bad at it at home that they'd like to spread it everywhere, like the Democrat Party spreads monkeypox. And boy, does the Democrat Party spread monkeypox. Why do they like monkeypox so much, Michael? I don't understand. I'm a little confused by that. So we've got that going on. And also, the Democrats, they're waging war against ICE. They're violently attacking. In Washington, D.C., we had the Democrat throw his foot-long submarine sandwich, a sub sandwich, at a federal law enforcement officer, and they're spitting at people and assaulting people, and they're the left. They're not good neighbors, I think it would be generous to say, and waging war on ICE. And this morning, driving into the studio here and discovering en route that a Democrat, I'm going to go ahead out on a limb here and say that it's a Democrat, another sniper in Dallas, Texas, shot 3 people at an ICE facility, and there are early thin reports that perhaps the gunman, who I don't call a shooter, because a shooter is like a kamikaze that you get at a bar and you get a round for everybody of shooters, but the gunman, the would-be mass murderer of federal law enforcement, a Democrat, may or may not have killed himself already, and it might be best if he had just another suicide attack, might be the best possible outcome here. But 3 people shot by a sniper at an ICE facility in Dallas, Texas, because the Democrat Party is at war with civilization, and we are civilization. They're at war with Israel, and they're with Hamas. They're at war with civilization. They're really on Putin's side and not on Trump's side. They're at war with civilization. They're not on our side. They like to do business with the communist Chinese, like Joe Biden going over there and bringing his crackhead son, Hunter Biden, over there, and then lying to us about it and saying he didn't do any business. And then we learned much later, not through our fake news media, but through other channels, that Hunter Biden was doing all kinds of business with communist China, because communist China is not on our side, and they're not on the side of civilization, and I think that's bad. But the Democrat Party, how many, and I got to say, I was talking about a couple of different people this morning coming in and saddling up here in the studio. How many violent shooting people incidents do there have to be before we label the Democrat Party what it is? We have labeled Antifa a terrorist organization. We've labeled Tren de Aragua, speaking of which, I got an update on that, the Venezuelan gang that the United States has welcomed warmly because of the Democrat Party. They want more violence, more crime, more murder, more gangs, more drug overdose deaths. They want more bad things. But they, including a liberal I work with at another job, saying, well, we don't even know. Trump is blowing up boats coming out of Venezuela. Who knows? They might just be a family. Yeah, they might just be a family. Well, interestingly, this morning, my friend Tom Mady in Florida sent me a story this morning that in the Dominican Republic, they just had huge amounts of cocaine wash up on their shores. Apparently, they believe, from one of the drug boats that President Trump ordered blown up. Because, we have 80,000 fatal drug overdoses last year and 100,000 fatal drug overdoses the year before. That number is greater than the number of Americans that were killed in the Vietnam War and could potentially be more than the Vietnam War and the Korean War combined in 1 year in the United States on our soil in 1 year, not from 1959 to 1975. But the Democrats, they're on the side of Venezuela, which is a communist regime, and they stole billions from American companies and so on. But the Democrats are on their side. The Democrats are not the good guys. And their warfare against ICE and against federal law enforcement and against enforcing our border and our sovereignty, the Democrat Party, the party of the first American Civil War, are a violent mob of criminals, and they welcome foreign criminals into the country by the millions. Isn't that amazing? And we were, one of the stories we were looking at today is out of Portland, Oregon, where the Democrats rioted for hundreds of days and committed untold damage and injuries and killings. And, the left, because of their politics, they do this all the time. And the 22 hours ago, Fox News reporting Portland moves toward further cementing its sanctuary status. That is, the politicians there are endorsing things that are illegal, violating our laws, violating our sovereignty, and they're not on our side. Boy, are they not on our side. But ICE, and then the headline out of The Guardian from the UK or wherever they're from, funny accent people. ICE is illegally detaining immigrants in a Portland field office, mayor says. That's what the mayor says. Now, the mayor should probably be arrested by the FBI and dragged away because they're not illegally detaining illegal aliens. They're legally detaining illegal aliens. Speaking of which, you see in Chicago, they found a young girl that was kidnapped in New York and two illegal aliens arrested with her. They brought her to Chicago. The teenage girl was kidnapped by two illegal alien men, brought to Chicago. You can only imagine what's going on there. Arrested in Chicago, and the Democrats pound the table and throw bottles at you and say they want more of that because they're mental. And 4 days ago out of Portland, feds fire back after Portland targets ICE. See, Portland, the city of Portland, targets ICE. They targeted ICE because that's what the Democrats are doing. And then we have what's happening in Dallas this morning. 3 people shot in active shooter situation at Dallas ICE facility. This is 100% on the Democrat Party. I blame Jimmy Kimmel. What do you think, Jimmy Kimmel? He was back on the TV last night on a bunch of stations, not in Washington, D.C., but I believe, anyway. I hit my DVR to record that time slot, but then I didn't bother to go to it. Even though I was up and at it, but never mind that. And multiple people shot at ICE facility in Dallas, Texas. Sure, yeah. And now we have, get a load of this. Here's the headline, and it's still sorting it out. The smoke is still clearing there. 2 detainees killed at Dallas ICE facility. 1 shooter found dead as police search for possible sniper. Well, now, if the shooter, they got 1 dead, they think there might be more than 1. But this is all of it, as we'll sort it out while we're on the air here because it's unfolding right now. But the Democrat Party is behind all of this. They're responsible for 100% of it. The Democrat Party is worse than Antifa. And I mean Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem the Jihadi Jeffries, raised by his virulent anti-Semite professor uncle, Dr. Professor Leonard Jeffries. But that's not important now because, they own the propaganda apparatus, and Jimmy Kimmel is part of that. Jimmy Kimmel was on the news, on the television last night. They don't know what business they're in. They're supposed to be in the entertainment business, but never mind that. And he was a little choked up for a moment, wasn't he, Michael? And I thought it was very insincere. I thought it was terribly insincere. And he might have been stressing about his biweekly $650,000 paychecks. That might have been causing some stress in his life because, he's got to have girls bouncing on trampolines in his backyard, which is how he became famous in the first place. But never mind that Pound Me Too thing, because when you're paying your propagandist at ABC in the late night slot $16 million, there's a little to worry about. Now, I got to say, we're talking about this this morning here at the radio station, too. How many conservatives have those $16 million network jobs and those coveted time slots? How many conservatives at let's say ABC, since we're talking about ABC? The answer is zero. They've got George Stephanopoulos for 3 hours in the morning. They've got The View mid-morning. They've got, what's his name, Matt Gutman in the evening lying to us. We were playing the audio of him a week ago or so. And then at night, you've got Jimmy Kimmel, who's saying, oh, yeah, a conservative Trump guy was shot and killed by a sniper. Definitely MAGA people did it. And that's what this filthy, expletive-deleted, $16 million a year late night show host who gets no ratings. That's what he said. And then Democrats everywhere are saying, oh, he didn't say MAGA did it. Oh, he didn't say Republicans did it, because there's something wrong with their brains at this point. It might be cell phones. We're not entirely sure. Could have something to do with Al Gore's amazing internet. Peace be upon him. But aren't they extraordinary? These are truly amazing times that we are living in. And the news moves so fast that, honestly, I prepare a 3-hour show, and I come in, and then a 5-hour show happens in real time during the course of my 3-hour show. So, which is fine. I'm happy to roll with the news as it comes in. But it's all the Democrats. And again, the bales of cocaine washing up on shore in the Dominican Republic, and perhaps astonishingly, the bales and bags of cocaine weren't just gleeped by the people on the beach or even by law enforcement there, but they gathered them up, and it's cocaine, and it's lots and lots of cocaine. And the Democrats are screaming and yelling on behalf of the drug smugglers, the Venezuelan drug cartels and drug smugglers, and the communist president. He calls himself a socialist. The difference between communism and socialism is 5 years. And of course, Lenin, who they have a memorial to in Seattle, Washington. What is it, a 14-foot-high bronze statue of Lenin himself? Lenin said the purpose of socialism, the goal of socialism, is communism. And the Democrat Party is here, and they are not on our side. Boy, are they not on our side. Also, we learned yesterday that the Biden administration was actually suppressing free speech during the 4 years of the crooked leftist brain-dead. We got a brain-dead president, Joe Biden, and then a brain-dead vice president, Kamala Harris. She's all over the television yesterday. How many shows was she on at ABC yesterday? And then MSDNC with their $25 million a year hostess, Rachel Maddow. Honestly, the propaganda apparatus of the Democrat Party is just hideous and horrendous. But never mind that. We learned that the Biden administration was going through Google and YouTube and suppressing the free speech of people that don't vote for the Democrat Party, which is authoritarianism, which is totalitarianism, which is Hitler, which is Mao, which is, I just want to get the language right, fascist, right? All this stuff. They call everybody fascist, and then it's the Russian playbook. They are accusing everybody else of being exactly what they know they are themselves, and they know they are doing themselves. It is the Soviet-Russian playbook that the Democrat Party employs. They started with Saul Alinsky and Obama and Alinskyite, Hillary Clinton and Alinskyite, and Hillary Clinton is out there again, last night or this morning? This morning, yeah, Hillary out here this morning again calling Trump, Hitler and authoritarianism. and the authoritarian, and all this good stuff. So we've got that. Yeah, missing New York girl found in Chicago with 2 men in U.S. illegally. That's, hey, wait a minute. What's the teenage girl doing out of New York and Chicago with 2 illegal alien men? Well, the Democrats arranged for that. It's like a Democrat Party dating app, but it involves kidnapping and sexual assault. That's your Democrat Party. Just extraordinary stuff. We're at 888-630-9625. All right, let's go to the telephones. We're getting updates, as I said, out of Dallas, Texas, where 3 people were shot apparently by a sniper at an ICE facility, and Dallas police saying that the victims, 2 victims at least, are ICE detainees, like illegal aliens, and not ICE officers or ICE agents. So we'll try to clear the smoke and get it straight. Lickety-split. But right now, let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Jerry calling from Alexandria, Virginia. Jerry, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yeah, I would just like to promote moving the UN out of the United States, out of New York, and to someplace else. And what sticks in my mind is sub-Saharan Africa. Burkina Faso would be a great place to do it, just to watch people try to pronounce the name of the capital there. But that's where all the problems of the world are. Trump could take that land and he could build. If he said, "I will build exact duplicate of your facilities that you have in New York and Africa or wherever," and then be able to sell that land in New York, then it would pay for itself. And he could, like I said, duplicate what they have in New York, escalators that don't work and
right.
so on.
Right, yeah. Teleprompters that don't work, escalators that don't work. Yeah, which was, I would say, clearly deliberate and on purpose, the escalator stunt. Now, Jerry, you mentioned Burkina Faso as a possible alternative location, and you mentioned the capital of Burkina Faso, which is my favorite capital. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's my favorite capital. And you mentioned the pronunciation of the capital, Burkina Faso. Would you like to venture a guess?
Not a chance.
Really, it's Ouagadougou. Ouagadougou is the capital of Burkina Faso. It is my favorite capital anywhere in the world, Ouagadougou. I haven't actually been to Ouagadougou. I'd like to go when they break ground for the United Nations there, though, I think. Jerry, you've got an excellent idea here. We got to move this forward. Yeah, Jerry, my favorite world capital has long been Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso in sub-Saharan Africa. And I've flown over it, but I've never been there. Never stopped there. And my second favorite world capital is naturally, anybody? Ulaanbaatar. Ulaanbaatar is my second favorite world capital. Mongolia. There are a lot of Chinese there and Mongolians. You know, they have Mongolians there. And they have a lot of Mongolian barbecue restaurants. Everywhere you look, it's Mongolian barbecue. Can't get away from it. All right, we've got stories that we're following in real time out of Dallas, Texas, where we have reports, and it's still pretty sketchy at this point. 3 people shot, looks like a sniper using a rifle. According to the Fox News channel up on the big screen in the studio here, they are citing Dallas law enforcement, Dallas police saying that 2 people shot were detainees being held by ICE and not ICE officials, law enforcement officials. Those are the initial reports from Fox News citing Dallas police. And there are initial reports, and always keep in mind that initial reports are always wrong, initial reports that the gunman is dead, and initial reports say by a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So what are we talking about here? The truth is we really don't know. We're still gathering up the facts. Was it someone trying to shoot ICE officials? Were ICE officials escorting two detainees into the building, and the sniper trying to shoot ICE officials accidentally shot two detainees. Did someone show up with a rifle and have two specific illegal alien detainees in mind because he's got a personal grudge with these two illegal alien detainees, maybe who are already criminals and have perpetrated crimes against him or his family or his business, and he was targeting the illegal aliens? We don't know. And then killing himself. But targeting an ICE facility is a Democrat Party practice at this moment in our tragic history. So we've got that going on. Yes, we do. And also, I mentioned this, but it's worth repeating because the Democrats are on the side of the Venezuelan drug cartels trafficking drugs into the United States on boats, using boats. And the Dominican Republic, of all places, my best girl and I, we went on vacation in the Dominican Republic. I checked that box. I don't think hey, let's go to the Dominican Republic again. I don't think that's going to happen. But Dominican Republic says it seized 1,000 kilos of cocaine from boat U.S. bombed. That's the good headline from Al Jazeera. It's global news, but the American news media is not covering it because it might make Trump look good. Might have to say, well, Trump was right. The drug boats that he blew up were loaded with drugs, see, because they're drug traffickers, leading to tens of thousands of American deaths every year, fatal drug overdoses. But the Democrat Party, they're not on our side. So Dominican Republic says it seized 1,000 kilos of cocaine from boat U.S. bombed. That's Trump. Dominican forces confiscated 377 cocaine packages from a speedboat targeted by U.S. Navy in historic joint operation. And here's a photograph of the Dominican military people with all the bags of drugs lined up in front of them, and there are a lot of them. Dominican Republic forces have seized hundreds of cocaine packages from a speedboat that was targeted and destroyed by the U.S. Navy, officials said, amid escalating anti-drug operations in the Caribbean. Well, that's where you find the drugs. You know, that's where you'd have the operations. I remember I saw Scarface. You see Scarface? You know, that's no, what do you say? That's no cakewalk anymore? What's that? That's no duck walk? That's no duck walk anymore. Tony Montana said, because they got the AWACS and they got the, you know, sometimes you have to fight the bad guys that are killing tens of thousands of people in your country every year. In a post on X, the Dominican Republic's National Directorate for Drug Control, the NDCD, you know, you got to call it by the abbreviation. The country's drug enforcement agency said it carried out a joint Dominican-U.S. operation in which they said they recovered 1,000 kilograms, 2,200 pounds of cocaine in 377 packages. Now, the problem with the news media reporting this is that Trump said that this is what it was, and they said, no, it's not. And now they're proven to be idiots once again and to be wrong once again because they're Democrats, after all, and they're wrong about everything all the time, I got to say. Yes, sir. So we've got that. And the Democrats, they love illegal aliens. They love crime. They love especially foreign gangs, but their kids grow up to staff American gangs, too. So we've got that going for us. And just amazing stuff. This is a good one from the left-wing radicals at Slate Magazine. U.S. immigration, : they love their colons. Trump wants to revoke birthright citizenship. Yeah, that would be a good idea because birthright citizenship is lunacy. It's a very bad idea, and it's abused more frequently than it's used appropriately. We have it to thank for Americans like Bruce Lee. This is their headline. Yeah, Bruce Lee. We got Bruce Lee. Is that Bruce Lee or Brandon Lee? I'm not sure about that. But that's they got just amazing stuff. And ICE lodges detainer against illegal alien who murdered a teenage girl after she rejected his sexual advances. Have you noticed the preponderance of illegal alien men, primarily from Latin America, who are sex offenders and involving underage girls young girls, young women, because the numbers are really racking up. And the U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement website, ice.gov, with the headline from a few days ago, but just a few days ago, ICE lodges detainer against illegal alien who murdered a teenage girl after she rejected his sexual advances. The previously deported criminal alien has history of drunk driving in the U.S. The Democrats love drunk illegal alien gang members raping and murdering American girls. This is what the Democrats fight for. Immigration Customs Enforcement, New York City, lodged an immigration detainer with the New York City Department of Corrections against the release of a 38-year-old illegal alien, Jose Edwin Cruz Gomez. They got a lot of names, don't they? I'm just Chris Plant. That's just 2 syllables. 2 words, not 4 names, I could start throwing in middle names and confirmation names and things, but that's my birth name, Ortega. I could start throwing them in. Then I'd sound like this guy, Jose Edwin Cruz Gomez. They arrested him on September 15th. Cruz is an illegal alien from Honduras. That's Honduras, who was arrested by the New York City Police Department for murder, attempted murder, assault, vehicular manslaughter, and several other felony crimes after he mowed down a 16-year-old girl, her mother, and her stepfather with his vehicle. Whose vehicle was it really? After the teenager refused his drunken lewd advances on September 13th. Okay. The collision killed the young girl and injured her mother. And you have to put a detainer in because the Democrats in New York will just let him go. They'd just let him go because that's your Democrat Party. And the Democrats want more of this. I know this by way of their policies, the laws they pass, the actions they take, by their rhetoric, because they're Hitler. They're fascists. But never mind that. Here's the next story, and this is today. Missing New York girl found in Chicago area with 2 men in U.S. illegally, officials. Then they have the word officials after that. So the missing girl from Rochester, New York, Rochester, was found September 20th at an apartment complex in Blue Island, Illinois, according to the U.S. Marshals Service. Surveillance video showed 3 people meeting the girl near her home on September 11th. Before leaving in a light-colored SUV, she was discovered with an 18-year-old man and his father, both of whom ICE said are in the country illegally. Neither has been identified thus far. So the missing teenage girl from Rochester, New York, was found in a Chicago suburb with 2 men who authorities say are in the country illegally. That's how we use the euphemisms all around that. Aren't they amazing? Yes, they are. That's your Democrat Party. And this is the America that they envision, the America that they want. The America that they're fighting for has more of this, because this is what they're fighting to create more of. See how that works? More illegal aliens, more gang members. Don't fight the drug cartels. Don't fight the human traffickers. They got their Kilmore Abrego Garcia. He's a hero of the Democrat Party. They're going to put up a statue to him. If they can, they're going to run him for Congress because, they're the Democrat Party. Isn't that amazing? Speaking of statues, did you see the monument that the Democrats put up on the mall in Washington yesterday morning? A life-size that looks like bronze statues. But the Democrats on the mall in Washington, between the monuments with the U.S. Capitol behind them, they put up a life-size or larger-than-life statue of Donald John Trump, President of the United States, and who else? Jeffrey Epstein, because they're really obsessed with Jeffrey Epstein. It's a sexual thing with them, like everything else. Isn't that amazing? And the Democrats, they put up on the mall in Washington, D.C., life-sized likenesses, I guess statues, sculptures, of Donald Trump, and he's not wearing a tie. No, he's wearing a suit and everything. It's quite a detailed statue that they put up. But and then there's Jeffrey Epstein. He's dressed better. He's got a tie and stuff with Donald Trump. And it looks like they're dancing and they're on the mall because they've got this weird sexual perversion when it comes to loving Jeffrey Epstein and trying to blame Donald Trump for Jeffrey Epstein things, which went on for decades and decades. And he's a New York-based guy, and and his private island and his private jet and all that kind of stuff. How many times did Bill Clinton ride on the private jet and all of that? The Democrat Party, but they put up a statue to Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. When President Trump was in England, he was at Windsor Castle, I believe. Their version of Democrats showed up outside of Windsor Castle with one of those projection machines that they use, and usually they use them here in Washington at universities, saying like "Death to the Jews," from the river to the sea, kill them all. That's usually what they project. But they projected on the side of Windsor Castle with one of those light projectors, Trump and Epstein, a Trump and Epstein thing, because the Democrats, they spread their monkeypox around the world because they're the left. They're not liberals. Yeah, a statue of Trump and Epstein holding hands appears on the National Mall. And they're kicking their legs up, and they look like they're on the LGBTQ spectrum. And the Capitol is behind them, and people are taking pictures. But it looks like life-size or larger-than-life bronze statues. It's the Democrat Party. Also at the United Nations, why they need to move to Ouagadougou in Burkina Faso, UN spokesman says Trump's team at fault for escalator and teleprompter snafus. They used snafu. That's a dirty word. All right, let's take another phone call, Michael. Let's go to Ray calling from Manassas, Virginia. Raymond, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. You got 3:45 seconds. Here we go. Kimmel, very contrite and happy about Erica Kirk giving the murderer of her husband and children a forgiveness, but he's not ready to forgive Trump either, is he? Now,
good point.
Number two, the 3 killed in Dallas. Looks like 3 more Democrat voters not showing up at the polls. Well, maybe they will now that I think about it.
Yeah, in Chicago, perhaps.
Very good. And the last one is, you don't make $16 million a year?
I know. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Is it? Very much so. Thank you, Chris. Good show.
Thank you very much. Yeah. If only you could take over the radio world, it'd be much better. Yeah, and I do 3 hours a day live, and they do roughly 1 hour, I think, reduced significantly, and it's pre-recorded, and nobody watches, and it's good. But I've got Kimmel coming up. That's funny, Ray. I make like 16,000 though, which is pretty good. Not so bad, I drive a 10-year-old car. I'm doing okay. I only got 22,000 miles on it though. So we got that going. Ray, good stuff. Yeah, you're right. And we've got Kimmel coming up. We'll get to Kimmel after the top of the hour, just for you, Ray, because we've got the Kimmel stuff and his fake sincerity. I like fake sincerity. All Democrats are. When sincerity emerges, it's fake sincerity. They do that pretty well. You're right. I think my best girl, she asks me every day, why don't you make $16 million a year? She doesn't really ask me that. I'm only kidding. Not every day, at least. Not every day. And I can now confirm by way of people that I know and people that I trust that in Dallas, Texas, the gunman is dead and that the gunman died by self-inflicted gunshot wound. So apparently he is the third. I'm going to assume it's not a woman because, women aren't that stupid, generally speaking. And 2 people shot, reports Fox News says from the Dallas police say that the 2 people shot were detainees and not ICE officials, and then the gunman shot and killed himself, which is very often the right thing to do. And so we have that going on in Dallas. Now, again, you don't know what the person's, I don't know what the person's maybe you do, what the person's motivations were, and whether he was trying to shoot ICE officials and accidentally shot detainees, or whether he had a personal grudge with 2 detainees and knew where they were being held or where they were being transferred or something. We just don't know, but we will keep our ear to the ground on that. Now, we've got a lot of Jimmy Kimmel for you coming up. That's for sure. And there is a crazy story making the rounds. I saw it yesterday someplace else as well, but now Breitbart is doing the story online. The headline is Pregnant Liberal Women Post Videos of Themselves Downing Tylenol to Own Trump. And the subheadline, this is an attack on women. It's an attack. Now, because the federal government under Donald Trump and RFK Jr., who is a lifelong Democrat from the Kennedy Democrat family, the Democrat Kennedy family, and saying, let's take a look at whether Tylenol is related to autism, women taking Tylenol during pregnancy, whether that's related to autism. So these women are making videos of themselves eating lots of Tylenol while they're pregnant and showing their pregnant bellies and saying, I'm pregnant and I'm going to show Trump. I'm going to eat lots of Tylenol because, and then if your kids end up with autism, show them this video. Show your kids the video when they're old enough to realize what their lunatic, left-wing, mentally ill mother did because, again, these children should be taken. It can't really take away the pregnant kid. Only Democrats can do that and harvest their organs. But the story goes, some pregnant liberal women are posting videos of themselves downing acetaminophen, commonly known as Tylenol, following the Make America Healthy Again announcement on Monday, in which President Trump recommended pregnant women limit intake of the drug due to possible associations with an increased risk of autism. So they're trying to create more autistic children. They want their children to be autistic just to show Trump. Then they'll show Trump. The Democrat Party, honestly, membership in the party should be labeled a mental illness.